During the 50s, in London, in my street, every summer, for about 2 months each year, an American family came from Florida. They came over because it was so hot in Florida at that time of the year. That's why they came. And their son, who was the same age as me, he went by the name of Lee, which is a typical American name. He something happened in when he was being born. I think he got strangled by the what you call it, and it cuts off the blood flow to his brain just for a short time, but it caused permanent damage. And he knew this, but because of that, his behaviour was over the top, but always friendly, not violent at all. Blonde hair, blue-eyed, and he'd say, "Tom!" over the top, you see. And then he might slap me on the back. A friendly slap. But as I said, over the top. But he had the most wonderful family, and his brother, who was much older than him, a young man who just came out of the army. Yeah, wonderful family. And Granny, even though she was very old, she used to wear these tight slacks like they did in the 50s, which also go under the heel of the foot to hold the slacks down. She had so much energy. She used to run up and down the stairs, and she was very loud when she used to talk. She would say, "Tom!" And if they were eating, if I knocked and they were eating, unlike the English childhood friend, they say, "Well, John's having something to eat. Do you want to come back later?" Quite often they would invite me in and even invite me to have a meal with them. Come and join us. Come and join us. I love the Americans in those days. Come and join us. Tom? Well, the mother was actually English. She met her husband. She was serving ice cream in the cinema near Tower Bridge. And her husband was in the American Army, and that's how they met and ended up getting married. And they just lived such a different lifestyle to the way the rest of the English did in our street. And they seemed so positive and full of life. They was virtually bubbling over with life, these characters. And then eventually the son, he chucked out all the chintz, all the old working class type of furniture, and refurbished it, and suddenly it was brought up to a middle class level furniture, and it was so bright and clean, and it was just gorgeous. They had such good taste, and as far as I know, they did have a shop back in Florida which sold antiques, so they'd go every Sunday near Tower Bridge. There was a market there, antique market, and they would buy lots and lots of antiques to take back, ship it back to their shop. Well, the husband was quite wealthy. I only met him once or twice, and he was some sort of politician, local politician over there in Florida. I never forget, we all wanted to go to the pictures, and it was what they call an A movie. You can't go into an A movie unless you've got a grown up with you. So his father, the American, took us all down to the picture house, paid for us all to get in, and paid for himself. And as soon as we got in there, he left. But unfortunately, the ticket collector must have noticed it, because he came along shortly afterwards, and we had to leave because it wasn't a growing up with us. But we did get other tickets, so we could go back anytime we wanted in the future to watch a U film. U was for children. But you know, quite often in those days, we used to what we call bunk into the cinema. We'd wait at the side door, wait for people to come out of the fire exits, and as they came out, we would hold the door open and sneak back in, you see, because the films carried on going. They didn't stop the films, they just carry on. once they finish, they just carry on to the beginning and start showing the films all over again. So we used to sneak in the dark and get to see X films. Yeah, we saw a lot of X films. So this nonsense where they want to stop children from doing this and doing that, or knowing this or knowing that. As I said, it's nonsense. If children can, they will do what the grown-ups don't want them to do. So I had some really terrible nightmares at the time, because some of those films with someone's hand getting chopped off and it's going around killing other people and stuff like that. Anyway, getting back to my American mate, Lee. I'll never forget, he had a birthday, and I was absolutely amazed. His birthday cake was in the shape of a rocket. Standing there, can you imagine? A rocket, and it's a cake. And the nose was red. The nose of the rocket was red. And that was pure marzipan. So we had to spin a coin to see who was going to get the marzipan nose. And I got it. Boy, was that tasty. Yeah, it stuck with me to this day. And we used to spend a lot of time in the attic. That's where his bedroom was, in the attic, where the ceilings come down like that. And he had all the toys that you can imagine. And I liked his electric train set, and also he had a electric sports car thing where they go around in circles. Quite boring these days, but you turn the knob and they get faster and faster as they go around. Yeah, we enjoyed ourselves. And then of course he had little toy tanks and toys galore. And just a reminder, if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Thank you. And when we finished playing, we would stick all the toys back into this big chest on the floor. Wooden chest. So everything was clean and tidy in his place, always. I never forget when I sometimes went in there, I'd sit there in a chair bigger than this. It was much longer than this one. It could seat 3 or 4 people, I should imagine, especially if they were kids. And then she would bring out one of these tables. She would take this copper thing, which was all polished, nicely polished, brass. And she'd take it off the wall. It was like a shield, a round shield. And then she would get these legs hidden behind the chair, open the legs up and put this copper shield on top. So it actually was a tea table. And put the tea there and everything, and we'd sit there drinking. Oh, it was wonderful. I always admired them, because for me they were the perfect family. But I often compare my life with other people's lives, and I compared my life with his life at the time. My father wasn't there, and because he wasn't there, the place was falling apart. My mother didn't do anything to make it better. And so, yeah, I was a sort of tramp, if you like, and he was they were the sort of royalty of the street. But when I compare my life now and look back on it all, and I can see what sort of life he led and compared to the life I've led, I realise I was the lucky one. Because he's always had to live with the family. He wasn't good enough to go out and be on his own. As he's like a child. He is like a grown-up child, even though he knows he has a problem mentally. He's never had a girlfriend. He just relied, and his grandma died years ago, and probably his mum died as well, I should imagine, a few years back as well, because she was the same age as my mum. So it must be his brother who's looking after him, and the brother's wife. But there again, I don't know, the brother's getting old as well, so maybe the brother's dead. Maybe he's in a home in that case. So yeah, his life has been... I wouldn't like to live his life. He's had everything as a child, and as a young man, as a child, so to speak. But no, compared to my life, which has been terribly interesting, and I've had plenty of lovers and plenty of girlfriends, and I've travelled here and travelled there, and had cars and motorbikes and all sorts of things. And whereas he's just had a easy going time as a child for all his life. No, I feel sorry for him in a way. Yeah, I do. But you know what they say? That's life. We don't get to choose, do we?